ROH 13th anniversary show pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view went off there. And as far as my thoughts of the show, I thought this was a very good pay-per-view outing from Ring of Honor. Now, would I say it was a great show? I would say it had great stuff on it, but some things as far as like the undercard being some of the matches on the undercard, and especially the one thing that kind of did hinder it from probably being in the category of a great show was the overbooking of the main event, because I was really enjoying the stuff they were doing within the four-way title match, but then they did the overbooking with the run-ins and everything. And while it was cool seeing, Ray Rowe back in Ring of Honor, most people that watched the pay-per-view probably did not know who the fuck he was. So it was like you're supposed to get a big pop there, but no one, for the most part, probably most people that watched pay-per-view did not know who he was. And, the one thing that did save, the crowd was pretty much dead when they did all, the KDR stuff, the angle they got going there. And, the crowd was pretty much dead until, post-match where you had Samoa Joe come out there. Obviously he made his intentions clear earlier before this match that he's going after the Ring of Honor title. But he, saw a stare down between Elgin and him, which I would love. I can't wait to see Samoa Joe and Elgin. That should be some great stuff. And obviously we're going to get Jay Briscoe and Samoa Joe. But the main event was the one thing that did hurt the show to some degree, but it still is a show I would definitely recommend people to go out their way to see, because you saw an incredible tag team match, another instant classic from the Young Bucks versus reDRagon. They are having an incredible tag feud with each other. Every time they're against each other, you see incredible tag team action. And then, other stuff that was entertaining on here. ACH and AJ Styles was really good. It wasn't great, but it was very good. And Sydal and Alexander had a really good opener on the show. And the other thing that I enjoyed on here was the other thing I enjoyed was Alberto Del Rio versus not Alberto Del Rio, but Alberto El Patron against Jay Lethal for the TV title. Now, the only thing that kind of hurt that was with 9 matches on here, then having Joe out here, I knew something was probably going to be affected by time, and that was probably, unfortunately, the one match that was affected for time reasons. So it felt like it was cut, and we didn't get the complete match like we should have got from them too. But it was really good nonetheless. And, we had a number of other solid matches on here. Obviously the stuff that people knew was going to be terrible was terrible, like the ODB and Maria match. Everyone knew that was going to be terrible. And BJ Whitmer and Roderick was just your, average match from them. Nothing too special, but still an overall good show from Ring of Honor for a number of things they did on here. So let me get into the review. The first matchup was Cedric Alexander versus Matt Sydal. This was a really good match to kick off the pay-per-view. Definitely a type of match you want to do to, get the crowd into the show. Very fast-paced action from these two, back and forth action. Just a very, very entertaining match. Enjoyed it a lot. And Matt Sydal picks up the win after hitting the shooting star press. About, 3.5-star match. A really good match to kick off the show. And then next up was Moose versus Mark Briscoe. And what I got to say about this match is it wasn't as bad as what I was expecting it to be. Before, this 13th anniversary show a couple days ago, I watched the Winter Warriors tour that they did in Atlanta, Georgia, Ring of Honor. And on that show, Moose took on ACH. And that was the one time I was impressed from Moose, and he's definitely improving a lot. This wasn't as good as his match that he had against ACH last weekend, but this was still pretty good stuff. I mean, he's definitely improving, and the more he improves, the better he's going to get. And obviously this route of, with his football background and stuff, that right there is obviously going to open up the door for WWE for him, but he's probably going the better route, not be completely green when he goes into WWE and get a little, training from Ring of Honor and get a little experience on the indie scene. And he's definitely improving, I gotta say. The one thing I would say with him is I kind of wish, when I understand when you have football players, you want to have them do a spear, but do you have to have every big guy do a spear? I really enjoy his pump up lariat that he does, where he throws his opponent up and hits him with a brutal lariat. That's some sick stuff. The spear he does, it's a good solid spear. It's a good spear. It really depends on the opponent. Some opponents sell it good, some don't. That's the way that type of move is. Like when he took on ACH, I mean, that looked like it fucking killed him when he hit him. Briscoe did a good job, a decent job selling it. Moose picks up the win here. About 2 and 1/4 star match, much better than I was expecting it to be. While it wasn't great, it was at least better than I was expecting it to be. The next matchup was the three-way tag match. This was the Kingdom versus the Addiction versus the Bullet Club. Now, going into the pay-per-view, we knew Doc Gallows of the Bullet Club, couldn't make the show. He was stuck. He was stuck in Detroit, I think. He couldn't make the show in time, so it was just Carl Anderson out there. Now we were expecting Carl Anderson maybe to have some replacement for Doc Gallows, but we didn't have that. It was just him in there. He wanted to do it by himself. He says, "I'm the Bullet Club. I can do this by myself. Don't need don't need another tag partner here." So he does it by himself. So you have basically a 2.5 instead of a 3-team, basically a 2.5 men tag team match, 2.5 team tag team match, and it was really fun for what it was. I mean, it had a little slow start to it, but once it really kicked off, it turned into being a really good match. Carl Anderson looked great in here, like he always does. The Addiction got in everything they needed to with Daniels and Kazarian, and Bennett and Taven are working very good as a tag team against with each other, and just a fun little tag match. Nothing great, but a fun little tag match. The Kingdom pick up the win after pinning Carl Anderson. So obviously this is going to be opening up the door for the Kingdom versus the Bullet Club, probably at one of the Ring of Honor, one of the joint Ring of Honor New Japan shows that are coming up in May. So obviously we'll be seeing the Bullet Club versus the Kingdom on those shows. Obviously that's what we're going to be getting. Fun little tag match, about 3 1/4 stars, maybe even 3.5 stars, because I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of good stuff in it once it really kicked up. Then the next matchup was BJ Whitmer versus Roderick Strong. This was pretty much your typical BJ Whitmer match, which means not the greatest of a match. He hasn't had a great feud in a long time. I mean, really the only time currently in Ring of Honor BJ Whitmer really works good is in 6-mans or regular tag matches. Singles guy, he's not the great singles guy he once was when he had his great feud back in the day with Jimmy Jacobs. And Roderick Strong, I like Roderick Strong, but sometimes he can be generic in the ring as well. So this was just a watchable match. It wasn't terrible, but it was just a watchable match. Strong picks up the win, about 2 stars. Then the next matchup was something I know everyone wasn't looking forward to at all, and this was Maria Kanellis versus ODB. And while I'm a huge fan of women's wrestling, this is not a women's wrestling match I cared to see and ever wanted to see. Now, on the pay-per-view pre-show and the pay-per-view preview show, Maria cut a awesome, promo going into this. So she cut a great promo to get you a little interested into the match, but you knew the match was going to be terrible. They tried their best to have Mark Briscoe and Mike Bennett out there to try to get involved outside the ring and get involved in the match to try to save it to some degree, but it did not help at all. And ODB wins a dud. No one needs to see that match. The next matchup was one of the matches I was looking forward to the most on this show, ACH versus AJ Styles. I knew this was going to be some great stuff, and it was. Now, it wasn't the classic I was expecting it to be, but it was really good stuff. I like the way they worked with each other here, where you had basically both of them knowing each other's moves very well, scouting before the match and stuff. You had AJ Styles trying to go for the Styles Clash real early in the match. ACH got out of there, and then AJ Styles stopping ACH from doing one of his crazy ass dives he does. ACH even doing the old AJ Styles, well, not the old AJ Styles dive, but because he still does it, the dive over the top rope that AJ Styles is famous for that he does, and just really good action here, good back and forth action, really good stuff from both of them, enjoyed it a whole lot, and AJ Styles picks up the win after hitting the Styles Clash to ACH, really fun match. Probably 3 3/4 stars. I was expecting a little bit more from it, but it was still a damn good match. Then the next matchup was the match that I knew easily was going to steal the show, and I think most of us knew it was going to steal the show. And this was the ROH Tag Team Championship match with reDRagon defending the Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks. This was crazy. This was insane. This was what tag team wrestling is and what it needs to be, and these two have had a epic and great feud against each other, and they added, in their arsenal another instant classic here. This was just great tag team wrestling. Enjoyed it. Just, I mean, so much action that, I can't go through everything they did. You had the Young Bucks hit the Indie Taker outside the ring. More bang for your buck was hit as well, and reDRagon retained the tag team championships after hitting Chasing the Dragon twice in this match to retain the ROH Tag Team Championships. Just an awesome tag team match, and a match that everyone needs to go out their way to see. 4.5 stars. Easily, an early match of the year candidate. Probably, definitely the best match that Ring of Honor has put on so far this year. Just great stuff from reDRagon and Young Bucks, and obviously we'll probably see another match with them when they do the Ring of Honor and New Japan joint shows in May. I would expect, this feud is going to continue just because the match is so epic. You want to continue it, and, on those shows, since they got 3, Ring of Honor and New Japan joint shows that they could probably do on one night where they change the titles, the Young Bucks win it, and then obviously due to Young Bucks not being able to make all Ring of Honor shows, that before that the Ring of Honor and New Japan joint shows are up, the reDRagon gets the titles back. That's what I probably would expect them to do, or at least hope they do, because then we would get, 2 epic matches with them on there. Just great tag team action. Match everyone needs to go out their way to see. And then the next matchup was Alberto El Patron versus Jay Lethal for the ROH TV Championship. This was really good stuff. I like the stuff that Jay Lethal and Alberto El Patron did in this match. Now, when I did my preview video talking about this lineup for the pay-per-view, I was a little worried that with 9 matches and obviously Joe's appearance as well, that there was going to be some match that was going to be affected for time reasons. And I think this was one of them, even though they did leave the door to continue the feud. So maybe this was originally, how much time they were going to give it, and maybe it wasn't cut for time constraints, but it just kind of felt like it was to some degree. But just great stuff from Alberto El Patron and Jay Lethal. Really good back and forth action. You had, Jay Lethal, not Jay Lethal, but Alberto El Patron working over Jay Lethal's arm. Keep locking in the arm bar, and just great stuff from them here. You have outside the ring, you had Truth Martini and Jay Diesel. You have both of them trying to get involved in here. One time, Alberto El Patron gets hit with the Book of Truth. He actually kicks out the first time. Then the end of it, Jay Lethal hits the lethal injection. Alberto El Patron gets hit with the Book of Truth, and Jay Lethal retains the TV Championship, which I think is probably the best route to go, especially since most people probably thought going in this with Alberto El Patron in an ROH TV title match that most people probably thought Alberto was going to win the TV title here. So it was like a little surprise, twist here, and they can still continue the feud with, obviously, the way Jay Lethal won this with, the cheap tactics outside the ring and Truth Martini helping them. But a really fun match, 3.5 stars. Really did enjoy it a lot. Maybe not the best match for a pay-per-view, but definitely would have been a perfect TV match, and that's what it's supposed to be for the TV title anyway, so it did what it was supposed to do. Then after this, you had, I think, the moment that everyone was waiting for the most on this, probably other than, the Young Bucks and reDRagon match. This was the thing I think most people were expecting to see the most, or looking forward to seeing the most, which was Samoa Joe's return to Ring of Honor. He comes out there, he doesn't make this a long-winded promo. He comes out there, says what he needs to say, says that he's, going after the Ring of Honor title, and cuts, at the end of his promo, cuts this old classic line saying that I am Samoa Joe and I am pro wrestling. Just great moment there. The crowd, was hot and heavy for this. They were, this was probably the biggest pop of the whole night, which was to be expected with Joe's return, and just great stuff. Now, I wish that Ring of Honor would have been able to use the old "Ciampa is Here" song, but for copyright reasons, they couldn't. So Joe has a new music. Sounds like something that New Japan would produce. Sounds like generic music you would hear New Japan produce. So it's not bad, but it's not great like his old music. But we knew that we weren't going to get the same music. And then the main event was the 4-way high-stakes match for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship with Hanson versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Michael Elgin versus Jay Briscoe. And I already kind of gave my thoughts on this match, but let me talk about it again. What I thought of this match was, you had a lot of great action. It was really good. It was even going on to be a great main event. I was enjoying what they were doing. And then they did the whole stuff in the crowd, which they've been doing this on TV, kind of teasing like who are they and whatnot. You see like these 2 or 3 people, and this time it was 3 people in these like red mask, and they're apparently called the KDR, and they came in there, hit a few moves, kind of teasing who they might be and whatnot. And this was when the match, when the crowd, this whole thing they did right here, the crowd was dead for the match after this, which is unfortunate because you saw a lot of good action in this match, but that booking decision really hurt it right there. Then after they came in there, were beating down everyone, you saw the surprise return of Raymond Rowe, which, like I said, I like Raymond Rowe. I like him a lot. Now we're probably going to have him and Hanson back as a tag team. Maybe, still at the same time singles competitors as well. But I would like to see, War Machine back as a tag team in Ring of Honor. So that's a good thing. But like I said, even though I like Ray Rowe, most people that probably watched the pay-per-view probably did not know who the fuck he was, to be honest. Then, after this, you saw a number of things in this match. You saw Jay Driller through a table, which that was an insane spot, and just a number of things that tried to, pick up the match and get the crowd back into it. Just couldn't do it after the whole angle they did right there, which I guess on ROH TV that will be continued, and obviously maybe we'll find out on ROH TV who's behind this whole KDR thing. And Jay Briscoe ends up retaining the championship. The way they did it was perfect. Tommaso Ciampa was basically laid out by someone else's finisher, so Jay Briscoe basically just walks out of here with the skin of his teeth and lucky to still be ROH World Heavyweight Champion. So the way they did that ending with Jay Briscoe I thought was good, but the overbooking with the whole KDR angle did kind of ruin the match for me to some degree and affected the match a lot. But still, even with the action, I still enjoyed the match for the action that we got in it, but the whole overall match was hurt because of that angle. I would say about 3 stars for the main event. It wasn't a bad main event. It was just affected by what they did and the overbooking nature of the main event. And then after the main event, after the match, post-match, you saw Samoa Joe come out there, stared down with Michael Elgin. Then you saw, him staring down with Jay Briscoe. So obviously we're going to get Jay Briscoe versus Samoa Joe for the title at some point, which should be some really great stuff. I mean, they had an incredible match back in the day, early on in Jay Briscoe's career, and Jay's really improved since then. And you had an excellent cage match back in the day with them two. So I expect great stuff from Samoa Joe and Jay Briscoe, and obviously with Samoa Joe's return, you have to throw him quickly into the title picture, which makes perfect sense. Overall, I would probably give the show about 7.75, maybe even 8, because you did have a lot of great stuff on here. Just the ending of the main event and maybe a few things on the undercard kind of hurt the show a little bit from, it was still a really, really good show, and a show I would say that people need to go out their way to see, but it wasn't in that caliber of a great show. So that's it for my ROH 13th anniversary show pay-per-view review. All right, peace.